Hey everyone, Iron Spider-Man here with a comic book related video. I'm sure all of you have seen these done multiple times, these tier lists. Today I'm going to be doing my tier list for all the MCU movies up until this point. So 2008 to 20 or September 2023. I've always wanted to do these. I did not realize you could just look up and make like you want to have a tier list and there's like preset ones. I thought this was like an application or something and people like individually downloaded the movie posters. And to me I was just too lazy to do that. Obviously that's not the case, but yeah, I thought I'd try my hand at it and go through. I think my choices are going to be kind of different from a lot of people's main opinions. And before I get into the video, I do want to say this is just my opinion. Okay, just because I didn't like something that you liked, or I liked something you didn't like, that's okay. Everyone can have their own opinion. There's different perspectives, different people. That's okay. So if I rate something lower, I'm not telling you you should think it's lower or anything like that, or if it's good, you should think it's good. Just my personal opinion, a little background on me. You know, I'm a comic book geek. Just watch any of these videos on this channel. I've seen every MCU movie in theaters, the majority of them on a Thursday opening night or Friday night. I grew up with this stuff. A lot of the MCU is very important and special to me. That being said, obviously there's been some successes, some middle of the roads, and some things I just didn't like. Again, all my opinion. If you think I may be missing something, like maybe I'm missing a different perspective, or maybe I didn't understand something fully, comment below. Let's talk about it. Let's have a rational discussion. Don't just call me an idiot because I put your favorite movie in F tier. The next thing, also very notable, if you can see, I only did A, B, C, D, and F. Obviously, no E. I don't really believe in doing an S tier because to me, an A movie is a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Like, it's already the best. To me, there is no 11 out of 10, no 110%. Like, no, it's A is the best it can possibly be, and nothing's going to surpass that. Just to give a little explanation. But all right, let's get into it. So first one up here we have is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now what I'm going to do with all these, I'm going to try and like break it down, like maybe what, if I can remember, like what I was feeling at the time. And again, all of this is based on just story, action, character development and growth, themes, stuff like that. I'm not going to try and pull in anything from real life or like, oh, well, this actor did this or this actor said this. Like, yeah, I get it. I've seen all of it. And some of it does make me, kind of be like, oh, really? But again, I'm going to purely try to go at this from a storytelling standpoint. So first up, Ant-Man and the Wasp. As MCU sequels go, this wasn't really the best. Um, I and I don't want to give away too much because I'll talk about it later. I did like the first Ant-Man. Um, the sequel, again, Paul Rudd was good. I felt like it was a little too jokey, and none of them really landed for me. I've only seen this movie once. It's not super memorable for me. I don't like the Ghost in this movie. To me, the Ghost is a great Iron Man villain who's a mercenary who, paid to hire to do all kinds of illegal activities, and they transform that into girl with a medical condition. I felt like they kind of really didn't, I don't know. It's like they didn't really respect the character. That's the other thing too. I understand with adaptations, things are going to change. I understand that. I'm fine with adapting material, but like adapt it with a good idea. Again, subjective, I know, but I just didn't really care for it. I don't hate it completely, but I think I'm gonna go with D tier. Um, I'd be willing to watch it again because I have only seen it once, but it's not really on my priority list. Okay, moving on. Avengers: Age of Ultron. This, of the four Avengers movies, I think this is the weakest. That does not mean it's bad. Um, Again, it's always good to see, the heroes band together fighting a common enemy. I don't like that Tony Stark created Ultron. I know it's not a super big deal. Hank Pym in the comics made him. Tony, just another genius, made him. but I didn't like that he came from the set. Like, it was too complicated. He came from the scepter and he wanted to save humanity, but he was like an emotional robot. He was making jokes, and to me, that's just not what Ultron is. Ultron's a cold, unfeeling robot. That's why he's so hard to beat, because everything about him's logical, and he's just gonna find the best way to take everybody down, and that's that. Um, Again, I don't hate this movie. There's some good humor in it. There's a lot of good action. I liked Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in it. Wish we would have kept Quicksilver. I really liked Aaron Taylor Johnson as Quicksilver. Actually, more than Evan Peters. I know that's crazy, but um, I think this is just kind of middle of the road for me. Just C tier. I've seen it multiple times. I'd be willing to watch it again because again, there's some good dialogue in it. But yeah, just kind of C tier for me. All right, Captain America: Civil War. I remember the buzz around this movie. I remember I was leaving class the one day, getting in my car to go to home or go to work, and the trailer for this dropped, and everyone was texting me. People I worked with, friends, relatives. Ever did you see Spider-Man the new trailer? So, excuse me. Um, I did enjoy Civil War. Civil War is probably my favorite event comic or event book, other than House of M. So I don't know. The book was so much more on a grand scale because the Avengers were involved, Fantastic Four, X-Men, everyone was involved, and obviously they didn't have that big of a cast or as big of a cast for the movie. So that was kind of upsetting. Zemo doesn't really do much in it. He kind of sits back and watches chaos ensue. I didn't really care for that. Um, Also, the five other super soldier thing kind of just was a pointless story arc that went nowhere. Again, the really great action, some good lines, some emotional lines, some good humor. I did enjoy it, and I did think Tom Holland was better in this movie than he was immediately following in Homecoming or Far From Home. So I do like this movie. One other thing, I am Team Iron Man, but like I do respect Captain America as a character, and I do like him, and I like his movies. But Iron Man should have easily smoked him in that movie. He should have been able to smoke him and Bucky without struggle. Just my opinion. Speaking of Captain America, Winter Soldier. Um, I mean, what else to say about this? Great movie. It's a spy movie. Chris Evans, Captain America really kicks ass in this a lot. The villain was good. Alexander Pierce in The Winter Soldier. I really like Sebastian Stan in this. Great performances, good humor, great action, just overall great story. I don't care too much for Anthony Mackie as Falcon, but in this movie he was pretty fine. But yeah, just overall great movie. I'm gonna put that in A tier. I will say though, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is the best MCU movie." No, it might make the top 5, but it is not the best MCU movie. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Now, I will say between the Guardians movies and the Captain America movies, again, I'm Team Iron Man, so this might sound weird me saying this. Guardians and Cap, I think, are the closest to having the best trilogies. I think, like, all three movies, for the most part, just tell a great story. They just hit all the right beats. Guardians, I do think, is the weakest of the Guardians movies, or Guardians 2, I'm sorry. I think Guardians 2 is the weakest of the Guardians movies. I think they overinfused too much humor. The story was good, though. I liked Kurt Russell's ego. I liked all of the Guardians' performances, except Drax was a little too over the top, a little exaggerated. But again, yeah, a couple nitpicks here and here I didn't like. The whole taser face joke scene, just upon rewatches and even first viewings, some of the jokes just really don't land or hold up. Yondu, I will say, I liked Yondu in this movie. I did not like him in the first movie, but I ended up liking his character in the second until I met Michael Rooker in real life. Now I don't like him anymore. But I'm gonna put this same with Avengers 2, just C tier, middle of the road. Again, not terrible by any means, just wasn't as great as I thought some of the other movies were. Captain Marvel. So I remember when this was announced and Brie Larson was attached to the project. I was super excited because I was like, all right, she's great in Scott Pilgrim. She's great in 21 Jump Street. I was like, we've seen her in like funny, actiony, maybe like anger role. Like we've seen her in good stuff, so I was really excited. I was like, she's young. I like her power set. I'm not super familiar with her in the comics, but like energy manipulation and whatnot, I was like, I'm in. I'm totally sold. I really didn't like some of the comments she made, obviously, about you know, she doesn't need the typical white guy, you know, criticizing her movie. And I'm like, if you look at statistics, that's like also the majority of who's buying your comics. So like, again, I'm not taking that into account in any reason, but like, I just remember I went into the movie with a bad taste in my mouth, and I tried to ignore it because I was like, okay, there's zero bar here. There's I don't know anything about the character. I'm going in completely blind. Like it can be a fun time. It was not. Brie Larson gave a really oddly bland performance. Like you could never tell what emotion she was from. She was just bland the whole time. Um, the Skrulls I did not care for. They were a joke, which I think they're a pretty menacing threat in the comics. So it wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy it. None of the humor really landed. I didn't like that it was set in the 90s. I felt that was kind of really unnecessary. I felt it could have been in modern time. And I always love people's arguments for when I say that, though. And they're like, well, how would Fury and her have a relationship? How would he call her? I'm like, simple. Write it differently than him having to call her. Have it like she got her power. Ant-Man and the Wasp, the end of that movie was he's in the quantum realm as everything's getting blipped. Have her get her powers and have her start to understand it as the blip starts to take place, and then she can show up with Ant-Man to the compound in Infinity War and like be like, I'm just here to help. Like you could have written in a few different ways, but I just again no good humor. Action was fine. I did not care for the story whatsoever. So that's an F tier for me. Doctor Strange 1. I think this is really underrated MCU movie. No one really talks about it. This is the first thing I ever saw Benedict Cumberbatch in. I never watched Sherlock. I know everyone said he was great in that. I really liked him in this. I liked Mordo in it. The villain was kind of forgettable, as most MCU movies are. The Dormammu bit was hilarious. Again, good humor, good action, and I don't even care that much for magic characters. I really don't enjoy reading them, or watching movies that involve magic. But this one in solid B tier for me. I really enjoyed it. Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Now this was the example of saw the trailer, was really intrigued, knew nothing about the characters, walked into the theater with zero bar again, came out excellent movie. It was colorful, it was actiony, there was characters, there's growth, there's great interactions with all five of them. Just overall, it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. The humor does hit in this. Guardians for me, solid A tier. Iron Man 2. Oh. So again, as I've said a couple times, and as you would know if you saw any of my other videos, Iron Man's one of my favorites. This Iron Man 2 is definitely a step down from the previous film. Whiplash I did not enjoy. I didn't like Mickey Rourke's performance, and that doesn't necessarily mean it was a bad performance. I don't know. I'd never seen him in anything before. I didn't care for it. I'm fine with Whiplash as a villain in general, but Whiplash in the comics is not Anton Vanko. Anton Vanko is Crimson Dynamo, and if you're gonna do Whiplash, fine, but like make it Mark Scarlatti. Just don't put him in the Gimp outfit. But again, I don't know why they adapt. That's like I don't know. That's like making I'm trying to think. Like, oh, let's just make Gwen Stacy the Green Goblin. Like, what? No, like it didn't make sense. You just have a completely different character being something that they're not. I also did not like Terrence Howard was replaced. I understand why he didn't come back, but I really liked him as Rhodey. I don't care for Don Cheadle that much. That being said, though, action was good. The Mark V and the Mark VI were cool to see, especially at that time, because you're like, oh, he's got 3 new armors? Like, holy crap. Again, good action. The War Machine armor was cool to see, but this one for me is just kind of C tier. Again, I rewatch it from now and then, but you know, just wasn't as great. Avengers: Infinity War. I can't say enough good things about it. Terrific movie. Ending was great. Action was great. Humor mostly hit. Colorful. A lot of reds in this movie. Um, just saw it's getting to see these characters after 10 years all come together and just. I mean, we saw characters come together in the Avengers movies previously, but like we're seeing Guardians work with Doctor Strange, work with Iron Man. Like it was insane, and it was a great experience. I wish I could relive in theaters. Um, Thor was amazing in this movie. I've never really cared for Thor too much unless he was in like the Avengers movies. Thor was, I think, at his peak in Infinity War. There's good dialogue in here. Just I I can't say enough good things. So obviously A tier. Black Panther. This one I think I'm gonna catch the most heat on. So Black Panther I to me it was too Iron Man 1. It T'Chaka, the is that the dad, uh Black Panther's dad, you know, to me was like the Howard Stark, like sins of the father. He did something, so later in life, it's coming back to bite him, aka like a Obadiah Stane. He kind of screwed him over. So just T'Challa coming into his own. He's in a high tech suit. I know it doesn't have lasers and it's not repulsory, but like then he gets hurt and he gets saved and then he comes back and then the ending is just all um two guys in high tech suits fighting it out again and the bad guy dies and just to me it hit way too many steps of Iron Man 1 and that's not what I was coming to see. I was coming to see an original story, not a retread of everything else we had seen. Um that being said, Chadwick Boseman did a great job. Michael B. Jordan did a great job. Like, I'm not discounting any of the actors' performances or any of the work that went into this movie. It just, I really did not enjoy the movie. It hit way too many familiar steps for me. It wasn't new and original. Also, from Civil War, when he was about nothing but revenge, and then at the very end, he's like, "Nah, you know what? I'm just gonna be better than that." And then he's like, I feel like he acted like he never had that like issue of being angry and wanting revenge, and like now he's just full on good guy. And like I don't know, I felt like they handled it weird. And again, I don't know too much about Black Panther in the comics or anything, um, but I don't know. I did not enjoy the movie. I didn't like the humor. What are those like? Just nothing really stuck to me, and I didn't I didn't like Killmonger's attitude of the we'd be sharing all this with the world. It's like, I mean, no, we can do whatever we want. We're our own society. It's not like, and again, I know you can argue politics or anything. I'm not coming to see these movies for a political discussion. I'll go see Oppenheimer or something like that for political stuff. I'm here to shut my brain off and enjoy a cool comic booky movie. I'm not here for a political message. So again, just with that, all that said, to me, Black Panther was an F tier, and I'm sure people are gonna freak out about that. But again, I have to be honest, and again, I'm taking it from what I personally like and from a strict storytelling standpoint. Okay, so like that's it. That's literally it. Iron Man 3, definitely the weakest of the Iron Mans. I didn't like the overall mess. Oh, who's Tony Stark without the suit? We saw that already. We saw that in Iron Man 1. He was captured and had very limited technology. Guess what? He's going to figure a way out and figure out a way home. Like, he's a genius. We already know. Avengers 1. What are you without the suit? Oh, I'm a genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. Like, we know he is more than just a suit. We know it's Tony Stark is the brain. We know that. So I didn't really need to see a whole movie centered around, well, what if he lost everything? Who cares? He's still going to win. Who cares? So for me, I did not like the Mandarin twist either. I thought that was really dumb. The Mandarin to Iron Man is basically Joker to Batman. I don't see why you would pull a switcheroo with that. I didn't like the Mark 43 or 2, Mark 42. Um, Also kind of confusing because he's like, oh, I need it to come in pieces, but it's not working. But like literally, I think it's Mark 41. The Bones armor does the exact same thing. It comes to him in pieces, and it works. And we see it work in the movie when Jar's like, gentleman, and he like splits up the suit. Like, I don't know. It was really weird. And then Extremis, not Extremis, as they repeatedly say in the movie and hurt me every time they did it. Wasn't exactly like, yeah, it could heal wounds, make you better, but like it wasn't like to make you into like mini Human Torches. So I just felt like they missed a lot of beats on this one. I'll rewatch some of the action scenes once in a while, but like that's it. This is gonna be a D tier for me. Spider-Man: Homecoming. Oh boy. Um, as you guys, if you guys have watched anything of this channel, even look at my channel name, I love Spider-Man. This is my main thing. This is the first comic book character I was ever introduced to. It's the main thing I collect. It's the main thing I'm trying to complete. I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the most important fictional character to me. Um, I love the first two Maguire movies. Yeah, third one was a bit of a misstep. I like the first Andrew Garfield movie, and the second one was just hot trash. Um, I don't like the suit. I don't like the tech in it. I don't like the design of it. I hate Flash in this movie. I hate that Ned is his friend. And again, like, I get there's going to be changes with adaptations. But Ned, the adult guy who works at the Daily Bugle, who dates Betty, or marries Betty Brant, who hates Peter because of Betty, all the times Betty, like, might want to go back to Peter. Let's make him his best friend? No. Flash Thompson, who is a foot shorter than Tom Holland, is the bully? No. Like, it doesn't, no. Like, they hit so, I hate Zendaya. I'm sorry, she's not attractive, even when she is trying. She's not attractive. I don't get why Peter likes her. Even Michael Keaton. I love Michael Keaton. He was a great Batman. He was amazing in The Founder. He was hilarious in the other guys. He did nothing for me in this movie. And again, maybe I'm being a little too harsh, or maybe I'm a little too biased because Spider-Man. For me, anything Spider-Man related, game, movie, TV show, whatever, high bar, super high bar, because I have seen incredible stuff done with the character. So this was just not for me. F tier. Avengers 1. I credit Avengers 1 to bringing comics into mainstream. I remember I was in high school when this movie came out, and at the time I was walking out the theater, I'm like, that was the greatest movie I ever saw. Definitely one of the greatest comic book movies I've ever seen. I don't know about movies, but love Avengers 1. Humor's great. It's colorful. Loki's great as a villain. All the actions, so fantastic. Can't say enough good things. I can't think of a bad thing. The only thing I didn't like was I didn't like Mark Ruffalo so much. He was fine in this movie, and then he just gets progressively worse. I liked Edward Norton the best. Small nitpick, obviously, nothing, can't control that. But yeah, this I just felt like people who weren't even into these movies would see the Avengers and was like, that movie was great. And obviously they showed up and made over $1 billion. Not that that's too crazy of a feat anymore, but at the time it definitely was. Straight A tier. Ant-Man 3, Quantumania. This I thought was too goofy. Like, it was even goofier than the first two combined. Kang was great villain. I don't know what's going on with Jonathan Majors. I don't know if he's going to be sticking around, but I liked him as a villain, cold, calculating. He's kind of what I think Ultron should have been. The two end fights were great. MODOK was so ridiculous. I wish they didn't even put him in the film. Yeah, this one was kind of, I don't know if I'm going to watch it again. That's kind of F tier for me. Incredible Hulk. I really don't get why everyone hates this movie. Edward Norton, I think, is great. Hulk is great. He looks great in it. Betty's kind of just there, someone to be rescued. I get that. General Thunderbolt Ross is great. It's a Bruce Banner story. Him on the run. I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was the ultimate origin, him trying to recreate the super soldier formula, test it on himself. I don't know. I enjoy it. I definitely rewatch it. B tier for me. I also like the villain in it. Pre-Abomination. I liked when was it Polonsky, something like that. I thought he was cool. Thor Ragnarok. And I might have mentioned earlier, I'm not a big fan of the Thor movies in general. This one's the best one by default. Definitely colorful, definitely more funny. Some of the jokes do land, some of them definitely do not. I actually like this more for some of the serious notes, like when Loki and him are talking in the prison, when they're talking in the elevator, when he's talking to Odin at the near the end, when Hela has him pinned down. There's some really good serious moments in here. Um, but unfortunately, it is just nope, C tier for me. Ant-Man 1 again wasn't I knew basics about Scott Lang and Hank Pym. I really wish they would have done Hank Pym or had Paul Rudd be Hank Pym, whatever. I really don't like that Hank was old and we're just jumping right to Scott. Again, it was funny. Some of the jokes did land. I like Paul Rudd. Um, Again, they're just kind of middle of the road for me. Again, wasn't terrible. I've rewatched it a few times. But yeah, C tier for that. Thor: The Dark World. Um, you know what? I'm just to make this simple and for the sake of time, I'm just gonna move the other Thor movies into F tier. Um, all Thor 1, Thor 2, and Thor: Love and Thunder. I think 4 is definitely the worst, but they all just suck. I don't know, like just the humor doesn't land for me. The action's boring to me. Um, None of the villains are really that memorable. Maybe the first one because Loki, but especially Love and Thunder. Gore the God Butcher. We don't see him outside the one person. We don't see him kill anyone. And the CGI in that was terrible. The jokes were horrendous. Um, yeah, no Thor. I don't know. Other than Ragnarok being up there in C tier, the others, all the Thor movies have been pretty crap in my opinion. Um, but yeah, nothing really else to say on that. Um, Black Widow, it's a shame. I think this movie came out probably 4 to 5 years too late. Um, I love the tagline to this too. I forget where it was or if it was in an article, and someone's like, "Well, what was she doing in between Civil War and Infinity War?" I'm like, "Who cares? I don't care what any of like Cap's team was doing in the in between." That kind of would have been cool though if we got like a whole like a secret Avengers movie and it was the Cap's team. But again, that would have had to been released before Infinity War. Like I'm pretty sure there's a fake out moment in this movie where Natasha Romanoff almost dies. I'm like, she's not gonna die. She's in Infinity War, and I get it. It's harder to do, like, kind of boxed in like that. Like it's such a short time period. But like, and then it just ends with her just being blonde and having the vest. It's like, yeah, you got to get into her the Infinity War starting point. Like, it just the action wasn't bad. Taskmaster was a horrible mess of an idea. I didn't really care about like Red Guardian or the mom. I liked Yelena Belova, if that's how you say it. The White Widow. I liked both of them. And I liked their chemistry. But outside of that, like nothing else really did it for me for this movie. F tier. Avengers Endgame. Again, what else can be said that hasn't been said? It's a terrific movie. It's emotional. Great action, great dialogue, heartfelt, all the good things. Some nitpicks I have about it. I wish it wasn't like as colorful as Infinity War, if that makes sense. Like Cap's suit, especially, it's like kind of like dulled. I would have like brightened up a few things, like the red on Iron Man's armor, the blue in Cap's costume, maybe the silver in Thor's costume highlights. Some of the Fat Thor stuff didn't do it for me. Or like again little things like, oh, Peter Quill's back on Earth to fight. Like, how does he feel about that? Nope. Like, just he's there to fight, then he dips. Again, I think I almost kind of feel like there should have been like Infinity War, Endgame, and then a third movie. They did do a lot in Endgame, but again, great movie. A tier. Iron Man 1, solid movie. This started everything. Robert Robert Downey Jr. kills it, Terrence Howard kills it, Gwyneth Paltrow kills it, Jeff Bridges kills it. Just all of them do a fantastic job. Great story, great redemption arc, great character growth. Still holds up today. Suits still look great, and the CGI looks amazing. Humor still lands. Straight A tier for me. Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. Yeesh. The fighting was good. The main guy was fine. I hated his friend. She was annoying. I didn't like that Trevor was in it from Iron Man 3. I didn't like how they adapted Mandarin with the rings, the 10 rings of power, each one do something different. Now we're just going to make it energy bracelets. Okay. F tier. Far From Home, again, I kind of said all of it about Homecoming. Just a complete embarrassment, I think, of the character, complete abuse. Jake Gyllenhaal was good as Mysterio. The only thing that puts this in D tier is the Mysterio construction site or fight scene. That was good, and the end little hallway fight scene, that was cool. Eternals, wow. Again, 0 bar, and nothing about the characters, just went in. I think it was 20 minutes in, I was checking my phone to see if this movie was over. Just no humor, terrible action, no story, and then the main guy ends up being evil. Like, what? Flat performance from, I can't remember the main chick who played in it. But yeah, just completely forgettable Marvel movie, F tier. No Way Home. I did enjoy this movie, but not because of Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Ned Leeds. I enjoyed it because I got to see Tobey Maguire again, Andrew Garfield again, all the villains come back. The bridge scene with Doc Ock, fantastic. All the action in this is great. And I think the second to last scene with Tom Holland trying to go into the bakery to remind Michelle Jones about him, I think was the best. I think it was the best I've seen him do in all 3 movies as Spider-Man. This, I do rewatch scenes from this frequently. I'll put that in B tier. Multiverse of Madness. I think I need to see this again. I was really excited when Sam Raimi was attached, and I loved the first Doctor Strange. This was a big letdown. Story was kind of pointless. Scarlet Witch was evil again when she was already evil in WandaVision. America Chavez does nothing in this movie besides fall down and scream. I thought this was going to be a Doctor Strange is going to Wanda for help. Kind of like, I don't care what you did in Westover, I need help and I trust you type thing. And that could have been like her redemption a little bit. Versus Mordo and the evil Doctor Strange from What If. That's what I thought they were going